Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today we are finally having a look at the R6 Mark II. Now this is going to be an overview video looking at the camera itself. I have taken some photos with the camera as well. We are going to look at those too, and then I'm going to give you my initial thoughts on this camera. And then the idea will be, there will be another video where we do a comparison against the R6 Mark I that I've got, and then we'll do a third and final video when I've got to use the camera a little bit more with a full review of the camera and what my thoughts are. But let's get into first the initial specs of the camera, then we'll look at the photos, and then we'll go from there. Alright, okay, so here we are with the body of the R6 Mark II. It doesn't actually look obviously that much different on the outskirts from the Mark I. There are a few noticeable changes though, especially on the top here. So the power button has changed, and you've also got a different button there to select between your video and your photo modes, and you've also got this nice dial up here too. Now obviously this one has got the battery grip on here. It also does, as far as I'm aware, have the digital hot shoe as well, like from the R3. This is a 24 megapixel camera, full frame, and you can get a maximum on mirrorless mode of 40 frames a second, which is absolutely insane. You've got a maximum shutter speed on mechanical shutter of 1/8000th of a second. You've got a maximum shutter speed of 1/16,000th of a second on electronic. You can shoot 4K. It has obviously now pretty standard the very nice varifocal display here, which you can put wherever you need to. As a few YouTube reviewers do complain about, it doesn't sit totally flat against here, so it's not a straight line 90 degree. It is slightly curved towards you, but personally never found that an issue. You've got the new EVF there. You have also got the Digit X processor still, which is the same, which was what you found in the R6 Mark I. This has the added battery grip on it, which is really great, because then you can shoot vertically like you would on a 1D model camera. Overall though, still very light. I think including a battery, this comes in at 670 grams, and with a card in there as well. Speaking of cards, this camera uses two of the SD Extreme cards. These are the Extreme Pros that I'm using, and they come in at around about £80 a card for 64 gig. Depending on where you get them from, you can sometimes get deals on them too. But I shoot two of those in redundant, and they go neatly in your little card slot on the side on there. Now with the batteries, you're still using the high power battery, the same one that you get from the R6. It's the LP-E6NH battery. And I say, because we've got the battery grip on here, we have two in this very neat little cradle that goes in and out just like that. Screw it up and you've got more than enough battery for a full day of shooting. On the R6, I've run that and taken 3,000 photos and still had a good 30% in each battery left, so not had any problems here. We also have the EF to RF adapter on here. I tend to leave them on all my cameras because I have no RF lenses, so I have one of these for every single camera and just leave it on there and get on with it really. It means I don't have to go hunting for one when I want to change lenses over, so that's where they sit. But overall, the feel, if you've used to an R6, it's going to feel very much the same. It's not massively different ergonomically. Let's say you just have got those couple of button changes across on top here, but apart from that, you'll know where everything is. The AF obviously has changed in here as well. From what I've experienced already, it is slightly more sticky than it is on the R6 Mark I, and it can find eyes a little bit better. It has got more tracking features than before, so you can get vehicle tracking on here. You've got animal tracking as you did before, IAF. You've got loads of different options on there which will allow you to pretty much track anything they really want. There's even got a train tracking option, which if you're a train spotter, absolutely great. from past experiences, trains don't move massively fast unless you're taking photos of a bullet train, so I've never really found that a problem. The only issue you will find, because of the cards that this camera uses, if you are shooting 40 frames a second, you are going to run that buffer out very quickly. So especially if you're shooting RAW, JPEG's not so much, but RAW you've probably got 2.5 seconds maximum of shooting with 40 frames a second on the cards that you can get currently. Hopefully in the future there will be some faster cards that come out which will allow us to shoot longer, but for now keep that in mind. If you are a wildlife photographer, you may want to step that shooting down to sort of 20 or 15 frames a second, and then you'll get more of a buffer and potentially won't miss that shot you'll be looking for. So this is the overview of the camera. Now we're going to look at some of the photos I've taken using it, and we'll go through the overview afterwards. Let's move on now. Okay, so the first image we're going to look at here is of some flowers. It's been raining pretty much non-stop, so there's very limitation to what's available in my garden at the moment to take photos of, and I've not been to a zoo with this camera. So we've got the water droplets still on the flowers here. Really nice and sharp image. If you actually zoom in on the water droplets, you get a nice crisp and clear image from there too. So super happy with how this looks. And the next image here we're looking at is of our dog here that we're looking after at the moment. Nicely tracked on the eye straight away. There was no delay, and I'm using the 300mm f2.8 Mark 1, and there was literally no delay. And because I'm using it at 2.8, you see the background is very nicely blurred out. Super sharp image, nice colours, and really happy with the overall image quality you can get from this camera. So my initial thoughts on this camera, obviously physically picking it up and holding it feels very similar to the R6. There are a few button changes on the top which I actually quite like. I quite like that you've now got a separate video and photo scroll on there with the videos that I do, and I also like the fact you've got a bit of dial on the top there, which is nice and easy to get to. But apart from that, it is incredibly similar. The really good thing with this one that I really like, and I wish the R6 Mark 1 had, is when you have it in full mirrorless mode, you actually get a shutter noise. Now that's something that's really irritating on the R6 Mark 1. If you go full mirrorless, you do not get a shutter sound. I've not found any way of putting a shutter sound on there, and last time I asked, everyone said there was no way of doing it. If there is now a way of doing it, please let me know, because when I'm out taking photos and I don't have that audio sort of relay for taking photos, being so used to using 1Ds and DSLRs, it's really irritating not having that audio relay there to tell me that I've taken a photo. But with this, first of all, took the first few photos and I was like, yes, we've got an audio noise, which is great, which makes it brilliant for me. I really love it. The AF, now I use this with my 300mm 2.8 because that's what I had to hand. Really quick, since that's a really old lens, the autofocusing is slightly quicker, I believe, than the R6 when it's converted over. It's not going to be like the massive be or end all going between the two cameras for that AF on a converted lens, but there is that noticeable slight difference when it is the speed of the autofocus. What I also found is, especially taking photos of the dog, now because he's got brown eyes and he is a brown dog, sometimes the eye tracking on the R6 does get a little bit lost, especially on the older lenses. This picked it up instantly. It was like, boom, there's your eye. Great. So you can see that you have got that slightly better autofocus on there, and it does work slightly better. The detail of the images being a slightly higher megapixel as well seem very nice and very nice to edit as well. When they come straight out of the camera, they look really nice. The ones with the flower with the water droplets, if you zoom in on that photo, you can see the upside down image of the flower because it's a very crisp and clear image coming through that with the combination of the 300mm that we've got there. Now, as I said at the start, this isn't a full review, this is more of an overview and a first look at this camera. There will be more videos coming about that soon. The next one that I will do on this camera will be versus the R6 Mark 1, so we'll get a like for like comparison. Is it worth spending the extra over £1,000 now it is to get this one here over the Mark 1? And then we'll do a full review of this camera once I've got my hands on it a bit more, with some better imagery, with a few different lenses we'll use as well, just to see what the autofocus does with the newer converted lenses I've got, and even might try and get my hand on an RF lens to see what the autofocus is on that too. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, comment and like as you always do. Have you got this camera already? What's your thoughts on it? Did you upgrade from the R6? Let me know down below. I do enjoy reading those stories. If you want to, some people have now started to share their links to their photo pages in the comments. I have no issues with that. I enjoy looking through those when people do, so please join in on that trend if you want to. And yeah, I will catch you in the next video, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.